I found other people liked me more. I liked me more. I wasn't a jerk as much. And so if you're finding yourself being a jerk, not making as much money as you could, not feeling like you're getting to play, there could be a time and a season to go, I need to.
Welcome to another episode of The Greater Journey. I am your host, Gregory Rutledge, author of From Waiter to Greater and creator of The Greater Framework. On this show, we don't just celebrate the highlight reels. We dive into the trenches, the doubts, the detours, the lessons, the breakthroughs, the messy middle that shapes who we become. Each conversation follows a letter from The Greater Framework, or more than one. And my goal is to uncover those moments that made my guests greater so you can find the courage to step boldly into your own journey. Let's jump in. Today, we have with us Jeff Caliguire, 7-time author, the coach's coach, who provides a space for people to heal, learn to lead, and there's nothing better than giving back when it comes from a place of, I needed this when I was there, which is exactly why you're on this podcast today. Jeff, how are you doing, man?
Hey, man, I'm doing great. I love this platform. Love that you're doing this, Gregory. And it has been amazing getting to know you and your huge heart over the last number of months. So glad to finally be on your podcast.
Man, I'm glad you're here. And, you know, this has been a long time coming. We were in Myron's mastermind together and really connected there, like on a heart level. I mean, shed tears together. What man can say that, right? So I'm just grateful that you're here on the podcast. And I want to know, like, yeah, you're a 7-time author. We know how hard it is to become a first-time author. And you coached and led and trained for years, and now you're coaching coaches. And I know there's a story, there's a messy middle, like that's your highlight reel, but we're not here for that. We're here to find out, like, what happened when you decided to step out on this entrepreneurial journey? What was the slap in the face? What is this story that made this your passion?
Yeah, well, I could say it's more than a messy middle. It's messy longer than the middle, you know. I think
it's still a mess.
Long. You know, I think when you're in a place that's not you, it's hard to know that it's not you because you don't have, signs that bleep and say, not you, go elsewhere. Gregory, I was a pastor, started being a pastor in Boston in the early 1990s. Wow. And so I wanted to do something that could serve God. I was entrepreneurial, came from a place where my dad was a businessman. And I think I saw in my dad things that I really respected, but enough that I didn't want to be like him, that I said I wanted to do something meaningful. I wanted to do something purposeful. So you go in the ministry. And obviously, God does great things through people called to the ministry. But when you're in the wrong place, you don't know it because it's all you know.
Don't you wish there were guide signs on the way that tell you which way to go? Like nobody tells you. And so were there some moments where you felt overlooked or underestimated in that journey? Like, what does it feel like to not know whether it's you or not?
Yeah, well, I think there's certain gauges we have in our lives, and most of us haven't been taught how to pay attention to our own gauges. We certainly have, ways to go. How am I doing physically? Am I overweight? Am I underweight? Am I strong? But one of the gauges that I think that I didn't know how to pay attention to was my energy gauge. And that gauge said, you feel alive, encouraged, or you feel bored and not like you're in the zone. And so I was kind of going like between the two, where I'd feel like I'd work hard and I'd run and I'd gun, but then I'd also go to times where I couldn't get out of bed. And I was Pastor Jeff, and my wife would just be, what is happening to my husband? He can't get up in the morning. It was literally sometimes like 10:30 or 11 in the morning, and I'd just be like, I just don't have the energy to get up. And you can now look at that and go, man, you were depressed. But there was also like a slide where I wasn't paying attention to my energy. And I do think there's two extremes. One is when you're overexerting, and then one is where you just are underutilized and feel bored. And both of them are not healthy.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I remember the moment where we were in Myron's mastermind. I think it was Mouth to Millions or Stage Selling Secrets, and you had mentioned to Myron, like, challenges, one to many selling, that drains me. Like, I do really well with one to one. And so there was this confusion moment of, I can't do what you do, Myron. And do you want to share what like that response was and what that turned into for you? Because I think that was a super powerful moment, and I don't want to steal it from you, but I think
Yeah,
that needs to
no,
be
I mean,
shared right here.
I'm glad you reminded me of it. I think we get in our mind a vision of who we can be or should be. Maybe it's more should be. And you and I both respect Myron Golden, and we see the impact he's had. We see how effective he's been. And it's easy to get in our heads like, well, I guess for me to be effective, I should do what Myron does. Uh, and it would be like, me saying I should, play like Tom Brady does, or be like LeBron, and you're trying to do something that's just not your gifts.
Right.
And what I've found is there's few places available to process where you can get into the zone. I heard uh, what's his name? Alex Hormozy talking about the whole idea of do one thing, find your one thing, and sounds great, right? And what I've seen is it's hard to find your one thing. So what I felt like when Myron, the way he responded was, hey, it seems like, Mouth to Millions and all that, that's not you. Do your one thing. And sometimes you just need the freedom to really say, hey, I'm going to step into that one thing. And what I've seen is my one thing is about helping others unlock and do their one thing, because I wished someone had done that for me years ago.
Man, that is so powerful. And give, like you said, it's like a permission slip. Like, not that we need someone's permission or validation, but sometimes it feels good to get reassured by someone that's succeeded in what they're doing, that you don't have to follow their path. Like, that's not the only path available. And people tend to look at introversion and extroversion as, I am good with people or I'm not good with people. I like people or I don't like people. And really, you mentioned it with energy. It's just how we recharge our batteries. And
Yes.
so you can be an extrovert and like to spend your time alone sometimes. You can be an introvert and love to get in front, like on a stage and present to people. But each one needs to recharge their batteries at some point, or else it's that 10:30, I just can't wake up, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and knowing how to evaluate our energy, like I said, it's not something that we were taught in grade school or college or grad school.
Right.
And so knowing what are the different things to look at where you start tuning in and becoming aware. And one of the most missed, I think, important elements of becoming a leader or an entrepreneur is being aware of yourself, and then moving to a place where you're operating more and more in your clean energy. And like clean energy doesn't burn and create exhaust. I mean, if you've ever had a really bad car, it created all this exhaust. What happens inside of us when we're not operating in us is we're creating this dirty energy. And then we start to feel fatigued, tired, angry, frustrated, disconnected. We don't like people. We don't like our job. We don't like God. We don't like ourselves. And that was me as a pastor for a long time. I was a pastor who had a lot of dirty energy. And now I'm just a big evangelist of, hey, if you've got dirty energy, it doesn't need to stay dirty. There's ways out of it, but you've got to be open to the journey and say, okay, I'm not going to be like Myron Golden. I'm not going to be like Gregory Rutledge. I'm going to be free to be like me, and I'm going to throw caution to the wind and go be me. And it does feel like a risk because you've watched these other people be successful, and they write certain kind of books, they speak on certain kind of podcasts, they sell in a certain way, and
Yeah.
goodness, we can learn from them. And you and I have been schooled by Myron Golden, but we can't be him, and that's good.
And then that's beautiful, right? Because I think he said this in the answer was like anyone attempting to be Myron Golden would be a futile effort for anyone else besides Myron Golden, right? So same thing for us. The reason that these people are successful selling, making podcasts, and doing all these things is because they're working within their clean energy, right? And so it becomes easy for them. And then people ask them, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And they have to like literally look around and be like, "Crap, I got to figure out some kind of framework or some kind of step by step process to walk them through because I don't know how to tell them to be them
Yeah.
or
Well,
be
I,
me."
I heard I heard Myron say a few months ago. He said, "People say, Myron, when are you going to retire?" He goes, "I'm not going to retire. I'm having too much fun." And what I've seen is that the people who can get to that place, who are like, why would I retire? I'm having too much fun. They are the ones operating in their clean energy, and they
Mm.
usually make a good amount of money because they're authentic. They're themselves. And one of my favorite quotes is from Soren Kierkegaard, where he says, "Now with God's help, I shall become myself."
Mm.
And that's actually a spiritual journey. And it's not that it's selfish to be yourself. It's more that you're using who God has created you, who your real identity is. And that really is a spiritual journey, that the more you uncover and let go of being like dad or mom or Myron, the more you're actually able to show up, and you're
Mm.
present, and you're not in your head thinking, what should I say? How should I do this?
Mm.
And that's really a spiritual journey.
Very, very spiritual journey. And it's like you said, it's a journey. It's not an overnight thing. So was there a limiting belief or mindset story you had to stop telling yourself in order for you to finally step into that?
Oh, there were a lot of limiting beliefs. I don't know where to start, but I guess I'll start with this. One of the things that is not true is that there is a sacred and a secular work. Okay. There's certainly bad work. There's work. Hey, I mean, if you're going to go sell drugs to kids, like, no, that doesn't matter. It's not sacred or secular. It's wrong. But,
Right.
but I kind of grew up where I thought, hey, you're either in the ministry or you're doing, secular stuff, and you've kind of sold out.
Mm.
And I needed to learn and stop the limiting belief that if I became a successful executive coach, that
Mm.
wasn't serving God. If I became a
Mm.
successful entrepreneur that created apps, that wasn't serving God. And I think that limiting belief keeps some people stuck in thinking, well, I just sell ice cream. I don't serve God. Well, God
Mm.
created you to sell ice cream, sell great ice cream. And people like me who can't eat sugar probably won't eat it, but do what you've done to the glory of God. So I, I,
Yeah.
I think that journey of like, what has God called you to do, that you almost, if you never had to get paid, if you knew you would succeed, you
Mm.
would do it because it's inside of you. Like in Jeremiah, he said, woe to me if I don't speak it. It's like a
Mm.
fire in my bones. And I think it's most people don't know how to find it, unfortunately. But if you can find that fire in your bones, that becomes the journey that you bring life to other people, and it brings life to you. So find what it is that you have fire in your bones doing.
That's so powerful. And you hear people say all the time, like, if you find something you love, you'll never work, or if you do something you love, you'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah.
Uh, but go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, and I've watched a lot of people retire. Okay, and
Mm.
and I think there's people who retire right and people who retire wrong. The
Mm.
people who retire wrong leave something because they can't stand it anymore. It's kind of like Popeye. It's all I can stand, and I can't stand anymore. I got to get out of this dang thing, right? The people who retire right are like, I'm going to get to do something with flexibility that I love doing, that serves people. And so I've been doing these retreats with people here at Whisper Ranch to
Mm,
help them uncover what is it that you would just never want to stop doing. And as
mm,
long as you have your mind and your health, you're going to do. And and that becomes a way of life that if you can get some social security and maybe get paid something, you know, go do that. Because when people just retire to nothing, they're really kind of wasting a lot of stuff.
well, yeah, they're wasting the breath in their lungs that they have to continue serving God. And as long as you have breath in your lungs and you can talk, there's something you can do and serve people with. And I believe I'm of the belief that get you don't get old because you stop moving and stop learning and stop exercising. You or you don't stop doing all those things because you get old. You get old because you stop doing the things.
Yeah.
So I've
But
seen
you,
a
and
lot.
you stop having your mind be engaged in something that's meaningful to you and valuable to other people.
Mm,
And so like when um, Frederick Buechner talked about God's call is where your deep gladness meets the world's deep need. And so
mm,
when you connect to those things, you actually are bringing health to yourself because your
mm,
body feels alive. And depression, if you've ever been depressed, maybe you have, I have. I ate a lot of crap.
yeah.
I ate all these kind of sweets, and I drank a lot of alcohol
Mm,
because your body is looking for relief.
mm,
When you operate in your clean energy and you're doing something that you feel passionate about and you care about, you can actually do better physically. You'll work out more. You'll eat better. And
mm-hmm,
and I know you and I both get that because we
mm.
want to be greater, and we want to live healthy, but we want to do something that brings meaning to us and value to other people.
Absolutely, man. And this is so good too because there's someone that needs to hear, that needs that permission slip, that needs to hear that there is a clean energy and it's okay. It's okay to live in the thing that you love and do it because it brings you joy and it serves other people. But not only that, like it's what you were called to do. Why would you spend all of your time trying to be, do, or have anything that anyone else is doing because it makes money, right? Because
Right.
I made it to a place where I was making really good money, but it wasn't my thing, and so it wasn't sustainable. I didn't want to do it. Like that energy started burning dirty energy. It like when I quit my job back in March, my daughter and wife were like, "Yeah, we like this, Gregory." They're like, you know, you're just angry when you have to go to work because I didn't like what I was doing. It was great work. It's just not my thing. And I'm curious for someone that's out there that's like, but how, Jeff? How did you get to this place?
Yeah.
Who or what taught you the biggest lesson in your journey?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was just thinking about like as some like retirement or when you transition to something or you transition to your passion, you do need a paycheck.
Mm,
Okay. We live where money is important, and it's important to earn money. Um, and I've worked helping people, financially advise, but you also need a people check. You need the
mm,
right people in your life. You need to have your
mm,
community.
yeah.
People thrive who have their community, but then you need a purpose check.
Mm,
You need to do something that is valuable to you and to other people.
mm,
And then you need a play check. You need to have your rekindling, your fun, your joy. And at every stage of our lives we need all four of those things. And so
mm,
it could be that when you evaluate yourself and you say 1 to 10, how am I doing paycheck? 1 to 10, how am I doing people check? And it could be that you're needing to focus in this season on the people. It
mm,
could be you need to really focus on the pay. I
mm,
think when you focus on the purpose, sometimes you can get to the pay and you can
mm,
get to the people because now you have a community of other people. But what I've been doing and what really helped me was somebody who helped evaluate when in my stories I I was fully alive from when I was a kid. And they took me through and they found the patterns of when I was engaged, when I felt alive. And by doing that and then holding up a mirror for me, they helped me see that I could make a transition towards more of that. And as I did that, I found other people liked me more. I liked me more. I wasn't a jerk as much.
Yeah.
And so if you're finding yourself being a jerk, not making money as much money as you could, not feeling like you're getting to play, there could be a time in a season to go, I need to pull back and evaluate. And that's why what you're doing with helping people find the greater them is so valuable. And your podcasts and your materials, I can't wait to read your book because because we need other people to inspire us that it can be done. Hey, if Gregory Rutledge can do it, maybe I can. Jeff Caliguire, who is depressed, couldn't get out of bed, almost got a divorce. By the grace of God, me going on my own journey helped save our marriage, and her sticking with me. But sometimes the things that are holding you back and your pain can become what your journey goes on. My pain was not feeling like I had energy and I was in the zone. I now work for the last 20 something years helping people get in the zone. You could say, hey, it was good I went through that because now I get it. And so sometimes it's your pain that influences what you become called to or passionate about. And usually you become an expert if you've gone through the journey yourself.
Absolutely. And only, I may add this, that first, I got to recap. That was amazing. So you got to do a paycheck, you got to do a people check, you got to do a purpose check, and then you got to do a play check. And a lot of people miss that fourth one. They don't ever play. It's like work hard, all hard work, no play creates burnout. But with going through that pain, because I just got out of a 6-month depression, this is me stepping into what lights me up, which is helping people to step into their greatness. I'm an encourager. That's my spiritual gift. So this lights
Absolutely.
me up, and I get to learn from amazing people as I do this, right? So you mentioned the pain can become the purpose, and like sometimes, no, most times, maybe all the time, the pain that we're going through, if all the pain we ever went through helped one person not have to go through that pain, it would have all been worth it. But we have to embrace it. Like we can't
Yes.
run from the pain and like try to anesthetize it with drugs and alcohol or pornography or gambling or food or whatever, right? We have to embrace it and ask God, like, what are you teaching me in this season and who
Yeah.
for, right?
Yeah. And it takes your willingness to maybe step away. And like I have a time of my day every day to get alone. I get alone with God, to process, to journal. And it's because I need it that much. But it could be that right now, someone who's listening or watching, they feel like they're just going through the motions. It could be that you need to step away and you might need to meet with a coach or a counselor or someone who's going to help you process. But have yourself ask the question, what is the thing that's been terrible that could be a clue to what my purpose is? One of the questions I'll ask people in coaching is, what bugs you that doesn't bug other people? And then they go, oh, I can't stand this. I wish someone would do something about it. Well, maybe that's you, right? Like the fact that it bugs you so much could be that God has created and allowed that for you to become a solution. I mean, people who've been through cancer, they often, serve people who are going through cancer, right? And
Right.
and so, when you look at your life and you go, hey, this was a low, how can I help people short that low? Maybe you can't avoid it, but it doesn't need to go on for 6 years. 6 months is enough.
Right. Right. So in the vein of that, in the light of that, I know a lot of times you hear just make a decision, right? Just decide that you're not going to do this anymore and you're going to do this. Like it's that repentance, turning away from whatever it is you're doing and turning back towards the right path. But sometimes that can feel like swallowing an elephant. So I have to ask, like, you were depressed, right? Now you're not. What was that first small action that you had to take that created the momentum for you to get to this place where you're serving from a place of clean energy?
Let me show you something.
Oh, I love
Um,
this.
I actually wrote a book years ago, about 7 years ago, called The Habits of Hope. But I
Mm.
started it about 17 years ago.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I was writing this book, and I'd write it and then I'd put it away, and I'd write it and I'd put it away. And my wife Mindy said, "Jeff, are you writing that book for yourself?" And I'm like, "Totally. I am totally writing it for me." And until I could do these habits,
Mm.
I was still stuck. So the first habit is literally to believe you are blessed and not cursed. Because a
Mm.
lot of times we get in the mind like, oh, my life's so bad. Oh, if I only hadn't had this, instead of saying, God has blessed me, and I've got my health, I've got my wife, I've got my kids, whatever it is that you're blessed with, start there and start building on your blessings until you start building more around you. And what I needed,
Mm.
like Jesus when he is baptized, the sky opens and the voice of the Father speaks and says, "You are my beloved child, you're my beloved son, in whom I'm well pleased." Well, most of us haven't heard how blessed and pleased God is
Mm.
with us. That's a foundation that I'm not cursed. I don't need to prove myself. I'm not successful when I have a certain, number of X's or O's after my bank account.
Yeah.
You are blessed. Jeff, you are blessed. And that was a transformation to really like get that from my head to my heart. You are
Mm.
blessed. And so that's the first habit. But I think for me it was the first movement of, you know what, I'm not blessed when I prove myself or people think I'm somebody. I am blessed.
Period. Man, that's so good. Just and that kind of ties into gratitude, right? If you're grateful for what you have, it can multiply. So if I'm grateful for the fact that I am blessed, and before Jesus ever performed any miracles, he was his son in whom he's well pleased. He didn't have to do
Yes,
anything for that love or that
yes,
acceptance. That's
yes.
the same with us. We don't have to do anything to prove ourselves. We already are. We just have to show up and let God
Yep.
do the rest.
Yeah, and if I can't believe I'm blessed, I can't believe you're blessed. So it's hard to love people when we're trying to prove I'm somebody, instead of accepting our blessing, accepting that we are good. And so that again, that's a spiritual thing, but I feel like it isn't taught enough, because we know, if you're in the Christian realm, you hear you're a sinner, and that Jesus died for you, but we haven't in brought into us that we are accepted, that we are loved. And it is like it's a belief, but it's got to go from here to here.
Oh
and
yeah.
and so that's the foundation. It's not I'm going to be successful. It's not I'm going to be greater when I have this thriving entrepreneurial venture. I'm already greater. I'm just living it out now.
Man, just embracing that you already are and living from that changes everything, doesn't it?
Yep, yep. And then other people start going, man, you are greater. And you're like, yeah, I guess I am. That's not, but somehow God's allowed me to believe that.
Yes, yes. It's almost like you have to believe it to see it instead of seeing it to believe it, right?
Yeah, instead of making it happen. And now, and it's not like, it doesn't, there's no work to be done.
Right.
If you're on this journey, there's work to be done, and there's skills to be honed, and there's masterminds to join and learn from, and people to be coached by.
Mm.
But I do feel like, as I mean, I literally had people who would read the Habits of Hope, and they would get tattoos that say blessed on there. And I don't have any
Mm.
tattoos, so I didn't get one. But it was to get one, it would say blessed.
Wow. Yeah, that man, talk about making an impact. I hope someone puts greater on their skin somewhere. I mean, not that I condone tattoos. I have a couple myself, but That would be so cool to know that someone read my book and tatted some reminder of something that hit them so well that they put it permanently on their skin as a reminder. That's
Yeah.
that's cool.
Well,
I,
it did come from the Bible. It wasn't like I made it up, you know. So
right, right. I mean, but think about it. Ecclesiastes 1, 9 through 11 talks about how there are no new ideas under the sun. Everything that
right.
is and exists now is just a new combination of what has
Yeah.
existed before. So
Right.
it's all come from the Bible.
Right. And we learned from, from Myron Golden, and looking at Solomon, what Solomon was amazing at was just paying attention to the things that others didn't pay attention to. His
Mm,
wisdom meant that, he recorded over 3,000 proverbs and 1,005 songs because he paid attention to nature. He paid attention to things. So what happens as we grow is we start paying more and more attention, and we see things that others don't see. And so, like, how you become greater and how Solomon became greater was he just started paying attention and asking the questions others weren't asking. And he wrote things down. I mean, writing in a journal is a great way to remember. I mean, every single morning, I literally take out my phone and I write down at least 5 things I'm grateful for to start my day.
yeah.
And, it's not that I'm so spiritual. I've been doing it for over 10 years, but it's not that I'm so spiritual. I just realize how much it helps this negative person become blessed and
Mm,
greater. And so, whatever the practices are that you need, start doing them. Don't
mm.
waste your time, just eating popcorn or actually eating candy or, whatever your stuff is.
I love that. And we I think we were kind of conditioned as a society, and you probably want to move your phone a little closer since your phone is your mic right now. Um, we're conditioned as a society to do everything alone, go at it alone. Like when I waited tables, I noticed that a lot of different cultures would do this thing where they'd order multiple plates, right? And they'd put them all in the middle of the table. They'd ask for extra fork or extra plates, extra forks. Like they'd order one of everything that they liked. They'd let everyone pick, and then they just eat until they were full and happy and take the rest home. And I loved that. I saw that and I was like, dude, that's genius. Why didn't I think of that before? So every American I've ever tried to get to do that, they're like, no, I want my own. I don't want to share with nobody. And so they eat and they stuff themselves, and then they're miserable and they're looking over at your food and they're like, can I have some? No, I offered you. Eat yours, greedy. No, but it's like so hard to get us to work in tandem or in community with each other. How important do you think community is in this? And then we'll bridge to the last question.
Yeah. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, yeah, I can hear you great.
Great. Yeah, I mean, I always think of the saying, when the water rises, all the boats rise.
Mm,
And it's an abundance mindset that, hey, if I help enough people succeed, I will have succeeded. If
mm,
Gregory becomes wildly famous, through this podcast, that's a win. And so it's going from a scarcity mindset that says, when you win, I lose. And
mm,
ultimately, I saw a definition of what a great friend is. A great friend is someone who wants the best for his friend,
mm,
or a great friend is someone who wants the best for her friend. And so, like, when you think about, like, who are the people I want the best for,
mm,
that's a friend. And the people who want the best are that. And ultimately, what coaching is, and what you do and what I do, is we help other people have the best. I mean,
mm.
I've watched other people make millions of dollars and do things that I have yet to do,
Mhm.
and I can enjoy that. But that takes
Yeah.
me realizing that when the water rises, all the boats rise. When you
Mm,
win, I win. And
yeah.
that's what the church is meant to be. The church is
Mm,
meant to be a place where, we are one. And when one wins, all wins. When one suffers, we all suffer. So, that's our journey. In some ways, it again is a spiritual journey to say, I love when I see you succeed. And again, there may be people here like, man, I want to do that full time. That's what coaching is, right? It's
Yeah.
coaching is when you're helping other people succeed, and the more wildly the better, you know.
And it sounds like you're someone that people need to get in touch with if they need someone to help them succeed, because you've written 7 books on this, you've led leaders, and now you're coaching coaches. Like, if they want to get a hold of you and work with you, how can they do so, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, go to wetraincoaches.com to learn about, how I help raise up other coaches. And I feel like coaches are multipliers. So
Oh
when
yeah.
you go there, you can get in touch through that. That's probably the easiest way. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook and all those things. And I've learned to enjoy communicating on those because, hey, we get to share our message to other people. And so see it not as like, oh my gosh, I don't want to go public. I sound stupid. I look stupid. My hair's out of place. But instead, a way to communicate. But, a coach is somebody who is called and committed to raise up other leaders, to raise up other entrepreneurs, to raise up people who have great relationships. And so the thing that's different about We Train Coaches is we want to help you do it in such a way that it flows from who you are naturally. There's a book that I wrote that you can go to the8coachinghabits.com to get, but it's just helping people learn how to bring out the best in other people. And when you bring out the best in enough people, you're living a good life.
And I imagine you learn a lot by helping others find the best in them. I feel like you would learn, like, when one teaches to learn, one teaches to learn. So I imagine by helping others
Oh, it's
raise up
so unfair. It's
it.
so unfair. We do things that are so unfair because we are constantly learning in ways that other people aren't, you know.
Man, it's a cheat code, but it's so beautiful. And I,
So
I just want to thank you for coming on today. I wish we could go a little longer, but I got this live in 10 minutes.
it's
So,
great.
Jeff Caliguire on most platforms: Facebook, Instagram, I imagine TikTok, YouTube, and then wetraincoaches.com.
Yeah, it kind of says what we do, right?
Yeah,
We train coaches. Yeah.
it's so clear, man. I'm like, I need to make mine a little more clear because,
Well,
like,
I worked with a coach. One of the benefits of working with a coach is they help you get clear. So if
mm,
you're out there and you're looking for you should work with a coach when you're saying, hey, I'm ready to be clear about what I do and communicate that to other people. So it's a good thing.
absolutely. Absolutely, man. They should definitely get a coach, whether it's yourself, myself, or someone that's been in their DMs that they know they should go with. I want to encourage you. Get someone that can walk you through this journey, because it is miserable to do it alone.
Yeah.
And you can go fast by yourself, but I promise you can go faster, further
Yes.
together.
Well, yeah, I mean, you probably are thinking of the African proverb: if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And Gregory, I haven't gotten to know you. You are the real deal. People are fortunate to be connected to you, to the greater network, and I just your heart is the real deal. And so that's what I think attracted me to connect with you. And I'm glad, I want to be your friend long term, and I'm really excited for the future of what you're doing.
Absolutely, man. And the same. I don't know of many people that we can chat in the hallway on a break and, like, be in tears together. It was me, you, and Megan, and it was just like, wow, what a
We were
moment.
all tearing up. We were a bunch of mushes. Yeah. So connect with us if you want to talk to a mush.
If you want to take that 18-inch journey between the land of the lobes
That's true.
and that
That's
heart,
true.
we were the people to take you
We're
there.
here to help you.
Amen.
We believe in the journey of the heart. You come alive when your heart comes alive. You get smarter when your head gets smarter, but you come alive when your heart comes alive.
Amen, man. Yeah. And speaking of matters of the heart, courage is really just the ability to live from the heart. The
Mm,
the root word in courage is cur,
yeah.
which Latin, French, cœur. It is the heart, the ability to live from the heart. So, whew, man, I'm sorry. That was loud. This is powerful. I'm gonna take us out, and man, we've got to do another one. Maybe we'll do a panel, and just, I encourage y'all to tune into the next episode. Until the next time, be bold and courageous. Do everything that you do with passion, and I promise you will have a life that you love. Remember to connect with Jeff. Follow us on all the socials. Subscribe, download, whatever, all the things that you need to do to catch us next time we're here. And we will see you in the next episode. Thank you.